You may have heard about Slow Ventures Etiquette Finishing School. It is a program for founders that happened last week, hoping to teach them about etiquette and how to conduct themselves. It's already gotten a lot of attention from the Y Combinator world, and so I want to bring on Sam Lessin, general partner at Slow Ventures. Sam is also the husband of founder and editor-in-chief Jessica Lessin. I want to bring on Sam to talk more about it. Sam, welcome back to the show. It's great to see you.
Always great to be on the show.
So let's talk about Etiquette Finishing School. Did you grow up with this as a kid, a teenager, a founder? Where did you get the idea for this?
Well, look, I mean, the answer is hilariously yes. I did go to a terrible etiquette finishing school as a kid briefly, but
okay.
but no, there's a broader point here, which is, if you think about the history of Silicon Valley and the places we've been, it was always cute to be the tech kid showing up with no manners and no etiquette and no respect for a community or culture because you had the magic technology, and people had a lot of excitement for that and excuse of that. And so there was a whole vibe of Silicon Valley, which is it's only about the product, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how you show up, it doesn't matter anything, just deliver the technology. I think that's really changed recently, especially with AI. Tech is now taking people's jobs. People are worried about it. It's the front page of every newspaper in the world constantly. It's global policy debates. And the big shift there is it's no longer, in my mind, cute or very effective to show up in these communities as kind of an outsider with no respect. I actually think that if you're looking for partners, if you're looking to do business with governments, if you're looking for capital, there's actually a very new culture that has to permeate, which is, yes, you have the technology, yes, you show up with a product, but I think you also have to know as a founder how to show up with humility, how to show up with respect, how to show up and demonstrate that you're someone that other people can trust in a way that just hasn't been true historically. And so, look, the long story short, in etiquette school is we're having this discussion. You have a lot of YC founders right now who are, by the way, younger than they've ever been or been in a long time, who don't have...
How old are they typically right now?
Oh, I don't know. They're under 25, I believe. There's been a lot of reporting on this, how the average age of YC recently with AI founders actually going down, right? So it's not more experienced founders. It's not people coming out of industry. It's even younger people. And they don't have the skills to show up not only with venture capitalists, but, with partners to recruit, et cetera. We said, look, YC is teaching them a lot. That's great. But there's a bunch of other skills that they could really use a crash course in. And so, look, I think it's caused a lot of debate because the whole YC thing or a lot of the incubator thing is all that matters is, product market fit. I think that is an old way of thinking. I think it's not that product market fit doesn't matter. It obviously does. And you should iterate on that. But we're here and we kind of set up a school. We'll do more of them to help founders with all the other skills that really do matter in an era where trust is at a premium.
And so what does YC think of this?
Well, Gary Tan hasn't been super excited about it, to say the least. I think internally on their Bookface platform, he was pretty clear that he doesn't think people should attend and should only be focused on product market fit. It's just not something I agree with. That's fine. It's no disrespect for Gary or YC. It's just I do think that when I think about the people I want to back, I think it is people who make that effort and are willing to make that effort and learn how to kind of show up in different spaces, with grace, with humility, and build trust with partners where it's never mattered more for tech.
I have to say, I was half expecting you to show up in a suit today. I thought you were going to be wearing a tie, given the whole topic.
I think this is the thing is people there's obviously this is a fun idea. Obviously it's a little irreverent and a little silly. I love that stuff. It has to. You have to have that stuff to cut through in 2025. There's no other way. That said, I do think there's a whole thing of what is etiquette? Etiquette is not, in our school is not, what we're trying to teach people is not, how to be an elitist, right? And it's not how to show up wearing a suit all the time. In fact, I'd actually argue that's culturally quite insensitive. What it is understanding how to read a room, how to enter that room with, humility, how to kind of mirror the culture you're entering, whether it's banking or consulting or government or whatever it is, and show up on terms that put people at ease and build trust, right? So I actually would argue that showing up in a suit at TITV is fun, but not actually the point of what we're teaching.
Right. So let's get into the brass tacks of the program here. So how many people showed up, and are you charging for this?
No, of course we're not charging for this. Please.
Okay. How many people were there? I don't know.
How uncouth would that be?
Maybe this is the next big, I know you're an education guy. Maybe this is a school you're starting.
No, it's not a for-profit one, at least not directly. No, I mean, I will say the business motive for this is simple, which is I actually really would love to meet founders who are coming in with great ideas that, have new takes on markets, et cetera, but also have the perspective and humility and are actually eager to learn how to show up in spaces. So, selfishly, it's great to meet the people who show up at these things. For V1, I think we had about 100 people request access. We only had room for about 50. So it was about 50 people in the room. There's a pretty long wait list. We'll certainly be doing more of these. In fact, since we've done them, we've had requests from founders in New York and Tel Aviv, all over the world, to come and do finishing schools for them. And I think there's a lot of markets and places where this is even more relevant. So we'll be doing more of these. I think it's a good template. And, like any good V1, we learned a lot. We had a lot of fun. We did obviously the fun things like wine and caviar and dressing and that, but also the really important things that matter no matter what the scenario is, which is, as a young founder, how do you show up at an investor meeting? How do you show up at a holiday party? Relevant right now. How do you show up, with partners? Those types of things really, really do matter, and I think are very teachable.
So Thanksgiving is coming up. The holiday season is coming up. For the founders who are watching, what tips do you have? How do you show up? What are some things they should keep in mind? Well, okay, maybe
with your family.
Forget that. Okay.
Let me tell you this: when you show up with your family, the key is to not talk only about your startup. Have something interesting to say other than your startup. Bring a gift for your mom. Set the table. These are not
right. I was more thinking holiday party vibes. Just talk to me a little bit about
the holiday parties in Silicon Valley. Here's the number one tip I think we give people, which is people don't want at a holiday party to be stuck in a long conversations about the details of your startup. And the thing we always talk about with people is, and we talked about in this session, is it's great to have the, hey, it's nice to meet you, look someone in the eye, shake their hand, they ask what you do, you answer, but don't give them every detail of your startup and how you got there and the YC experience. Don't get people stuck in conversations, because what you want is to leave people saying, wow, that's a really interesting point, or a really, confident, some nice person. And you want to leave them asking more of you, not kind of waylaying them in the corner and explaining every detail of their startup and making them feel like you're effectively taking their time. So I think there's a really interesting thing about what the exchange of time is at these holiday parties, how to circulate through the room, how to show up in a way that feels humble and excited. But I would argue with an abundance mindset, meaning there's going to be another opportunity. This isn't your only opportunity to talk to this specific venture capitalist, right? You have to have a quiet confidence about that to kind of, I think, show up well.
And so the key is what? Is to be well-read, to consume content, have interesting things to say, really.
Well, I think the answer is well-read's a broad thing. I think you need to be able to talk about something other than just your startup. And I think you need to leave with the mentality of your goal is not to say everything on your mind and have someone leave with a full picture of what it is that you do, et cetera, but more an impression that this is a trustworthy person working on interesting things, and know that if they want to learn more or be more in touch or spend more time with you speaking, that's kind of their option, not you waylaying them in the corner for a 25-minute conversation they don't want to be in.
Right. Well, great. Sam, it's always a pleasure to have you back on the show, and we'll have you back again soon whenever you're hosting the next Etiquette Finishing School.
You guys are welcome. Talk to you soon.